and welcome to Stone's Throw Acres. I'm Janice. I'm making cheese today. I have been asked a few times to make a cheese making video. We make our cheese every week. I'm in the works of having a cheese cave, and I'm kind of excited for that, to be able to store cheese and keep it a little bit longer. But one of the best ways to use some of the fresh milk that we get is by making cheese. And we have a dairy that's fairly close to us, and we make a pickup once a week and get our fresh milk. And we have some fresh milk here today. It's best to use as fresh as milk as you can get, preferably anything non-homogenized. And if you can keep it low temp pasteurized, that's probably best. The book that I really got started with was this book here. It's called The Art of Cheesemaking, Natural Cheesemaking by David Asher. And one of the reasons why I picked this book was because Sally Fallon had done this is the book I think she uses, and she did a little excerpt or little letter in here regarding the book and how easy it is to use. I will admit that when I first started using this book, I was a little intimidated at first. Looking at some of the pictures, you'll see cheeses that have been aged naturally, and it looks a little, suspicious. But in all honesty, there are some great recipes in here that are pretty simple to use. Cheese, I only make really one kind at this point, and it's a hard cheese. And the reason I do that is because it's the one that me and Mr. So-and-so or Mr. Matt likes the best. And so we've kind of gotten something that we enjoy, and we just use it all the time. And so you want to start out with as fresh milk as possible. And we just got this yesterday, so it's been sitting in the fridge chilling. I'm not real crazy about that. What I found is that using it the day that we get it is usually the best. So if I can do this on whatever day we pick it up during the week, that's the day that I want to start my cheese making. I do a gallon at a time, and that's it. And so really, it's pretty simple. This recipe is one of the easiest to do. It takes a little bit of time, but you don't have to put a lot of time into it, if that makes any sense. It takes time for it to drain and then for us to press it. But other than that, it really doesn't take much time. So both of these, I've shaken them up to mix the cream in with the milk, back in with the milk again. And then I'm going to take this to about 90 degrees. And we're going to let it set, and we'll slowly raise it to 90 degrees. Let it set for just about an hour or so for the enzymes in the milk to get warmed up and really start moving and begin, I don't want to say souring because that's not really what's happening. It's more of a preparation for the rennet that's coming next. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on to a low setting, and I'm going to watch it. And one of the things that I use to watch it is this little handy dandy temperature reading thing. It seems to work the best. I get it up to about 85 degrees, and then I usually turn off my burner because it will still continue to rise once you put the lid on. Okay, stirring is important, so every so often I do stir the milk a little bit just to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom or getting burnt. You don't want to burn it. It usually won't when you get it to 90 degrees. It's usually not going to burn, but it might stick just a little bit, some of the milk, and you just try to keep it from doing that. Okay, it's been a few hours because we were outside fixing fence, and my milk is actually cooled to about 80 degrees, but I raised the temperature back up to 90, and it's been setting for just about 15 minutes. So I'm ready to put in the rennet. The rennet that I'm using is a veal rennet. Animal rennet is probably the best, I think, that you can buy. This is veal. This is from cheeseconnection.net is where this is from, and it really doesn't take a whole lot of it. So this bottle has actually lasted probably a year and a half, I would say, and we've still got some left. For a gallon, we use about 8 drops of rennet. I've found that that's probably what makes about the right consistency of cheese that we like. If you want a little softer cheese, you'll use a little less rennet. And if you wanted a real hard cheese, then you'll use about 10 drops or more per gallon. So I would say no more than 12 drops is necessary, but 10 will give you pretty hard cheese. We stick with about 8. It's about right for us. I'm going to add the rennet. I put some water in just a measuring cup. It doesn't matter what size it is. You just want a little water to blend it in with. That way when you pour it in, it blends easy all the way around. So go And actually, in this day and age, it's probably a good idea to have extras, so I probably will get online shortly this week and get some more rennet ordered just so I have it on hand. It really doesn't go bad. It gets kept in the refrigerator, and it's just nice to have on hand. Make a lot of cheese with it. We're back. It's been just a little over an hour, and now the cheese is becoming, or the milk is starting to pull away from the sides of the pan. So I wanted to just show you kind of what that looks like. If you just hang on for just 1 second. All right. So if you can see this, hopefully you can see it. I just set this inside and it pulls away. See how it pulls away from the side of the pan? And it does it pretty much without breaking the cheese curd, which isn't important, but it just shows you how strong that curd is starting to get already. So we've got it pulling away from the sides of the pan. In fact, when I shake the pan, the cheese moves a little bit, so I don't know if you can see that at all. It's pretty loose in there. So what I'm going to do is actually take a knife, and I'm just going to kind of hold this camera. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on here. I'm going to get a smaller knife. You could probably do this with a butter knife, but I just prefer to use kind of a steak knife blade. And then you want to just cut through the cheese. I don't know if how close you can see that, but about 1-inch cuts is what you're going to make. So I just cut through, and the cheese will, the milk curds or whatever, the big solid chunk will start to move sometimes. So it'll spin within the pan. Let's do it like this maybe, so my hand's not in the way of the camera. And then we'll go the other direction. And in fact, instead of doing that, you can kind of go from at an angle here. Let's see if I can get that in the camera. And you can kind of just cut like this as well, and that makes some nice squares. There is an actual kind of a cheese screen that you can buy that you can just swoop it down into the pan, but I don't have that, and frankly it's really not terrible to do it this way either. And just go at an angle. Okay, so you can just maybe just get my knife rather than my hand in there. This is after the curds have sat and they're a little bit stronger now. I'm just going to pour as much as I can into this bowl. And we like to let our cheese hang for a while rather than just putting it right into the press. It seems like we get a lot more way out. Plus we can fit it into our press. Our press is a little smaller, so this makes it a little bit easier. So I like to pull, oops, I didn't need to get all that. You get a lot of whey. So out of 1 gallon of milk, when you make the cheese this way, I think I get just a little over a half gallon or so of whey. And you can use the whey for a lot of different things, and we can talk about that in another video. But this is a pretty big piece of cheesecloth. I really don't need it this big, but this is what I had ready to go. It was already clean and dried. And so we just drain it a little bit. I'm going to pour most of this whey out back into my container. Okay, and then this is where I salt my cheese, and so I'm going to work through salting it as well. Salt helps pull out a lot more of the whey and makes a firmer cheese, gives it a little, helps develop the flavor a little bit. I think I like quite a bit of salt in my cheese, so I would say I probably do, let's say this is probably a good tablespoon of salt. I'm going to stir that in. I'm going to make sure that salt gets all over before I do the final hang. I don't want it to, but you see there's a lot of whey starting to come out already in the cheese. There's quite a bit more now. So I'll set that aside, and we will hold this up one more time. Let some of that whey drop out as much as we can get out. I'm going to pour it out of there. And then I'm going to go ahead and hang my cheese. And Mr. Stone's Throw has made kind of a nice hanger-like thing for me. As you can see, I'm going to set this aside here a little bit so you can hopefully see this. But it's just a old shoestring that we had, an unused shoestring. It just happened to be one that was an extra. And this is my cheese tying string. And just get it up high, let it drain out for a while. And I let it actually drain overnight. So this will drain overnight, and then I can show you kind of, after we put it through the press, I'm going to show you the end result here because I have one that we just finished not too long ago. All right, as promised, I'll show you what the end result is. You can hear that still got this cheese dripping over here, like I said, overnight. And we then pull it out in the morning of the cheesecloth. We don't need to, we can switch if we want, and then we have a press that we put it in. I can show you that here in just a moment. In fact, I probably should show you that before I show you this cheese. But I keep it in a piece of parchment paper and then in a plastic bag, and it just seems like it keeps it fresher. I don't know. I've just recently come upon that. For whatever reason, I had a piece of parchment paper. It's just something I tried doing, and it turned out really, really good. So I'm gonna see if I can't get this grilled here. You can see this. Okay, and this is the cheese. I'm gonna pull out a knife here. Nice and hard. It's round. That's about as big as it's gonna get. Like, Matt likes a really hard cheese. I'm okay with that. But I mean, this is just absolutely wonderful. It's firm. It's not a sour taste. It's a nice fresh cheese taste. Tastes really good. You can shred this really easy. That makes really nice. It's not a mozzarella, but it will melt nice on a meal pizza. Actually does pretty good. Pretty versatile. And that's why we like it so much. You can cube it up. You can take it with you for lunches. You can snack on it. And that's why we like that. So I'm going to show you the press real quick that Matt had made for me. I had to put that cheese away. It's easy to snack on that. But this is really cool. Matt did a great job making this for me. We do need to find a different centerpiece. It's just what we had lying around. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to work for you. And so we're going to revise it just a little bit, but for now, this actually works pretty good. So all he did was take a PVC pipe. This is an end cap, and drilled a bunch of holes in it. You see that real quick? It works really, really nice. And then just a wooden disc. I cover this with plastic and set it down in there because I just don't want, we got a piece of metal on here. Otherwise, this started to bow after a while, which inevitably it's going to happen. This will too, a little bit, these corners, because this will go in there, press it down. This goes on top of this, and then we have a couple of washers, a couple of nuts that can help, you know, get it. And then I just check it every so often. I tighten them down and press a little harder, check it again, tighten them down, press a little more, and usually by the end of the day, we've got nice hard cheese that we can put into the refrigerator. So I hope you learned a little bit out of this video. This is what we do on a weekly basis, and we have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching.